Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Thanks for coming and checking out today's video. So, today's video, as you all know, is based on Kaalia the Vast. I'll just quickly go through it. 1 red, white and black for 2/2 human cleric, and whenever you attack, you may put a angel, demon or dragon card from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking that opponent that Kaalia's attacking. Now, this is one of the decks that I've been updating in real life, and it's got to the point where I realised that some of the decks I have in real life aren't on MTGO, as I said yesterday, so I decided to transfer as much of Kaalia from real life onto MTGO as I can and do a few upgrades along the way. I'll point out the upgrades as I go along to what's online and what I've got in real life and how the changes are. Just there's a couple of things. It's mainly, as you can guess, the expensive cards, but we'll get there. So, hopefully you like the video. If you do, please hit the sub button, help me out. I'm at 224 as I record this. Would love to get higher as we can. So, please hit the sub if you haven't. Anyway, here we go. As usual, go through the mana base. Red, white and black lands everywhere, as you can imagine, including Field of the Dead in this deck, Fabled Passage. We've also got the usual selection of check lands and, well, I think they're all check lands really. Isolated Chapel looks for plains and a swamp. Luxury Suite and its equivalents look for 2 or more opponents. So yeah, I still think I'll call them check lands. It's probably wrong, and tell me off in the comments if you want to. Reliquary Tower, Temple of the False God are here. And then the artifact side of things. Mox Tantalite, Soul Talisman are fine. They're in real life. Mana Crypt isn't in my real life deck, but is on here. So drop this out and replace with something else if you wish. Soul Ring is also in. And then the other rest of the artifact ramped. Arcane Signet, 1 of each of the diamonds. Plus Mind Stone, plus Thought Vessel, plus Skyclave Relic. Now, this is quite heavy on the ramp. Mainly, it's green, so we haven't got any spells to do it, so I've gone a little bit heavier on the artifact ramp side of things. My deck in real life doesn't have the medallions in it. Obviously, the medallions have become a little bit more readily available since Commander Masters has been released now, so you can swap some of these over and play the medallions. The diamonds could come out, they could become the medallions. Same idea, realistically. But it's up to you. Beyond that, most of the rest of this deck is very much in line with what I've got in real life. So I'm going to go through it now. Mana Crypt, just make another land if you want to. So, Wheel of Fate, we need to make sure we are having cards in our hand all the time because we want to be dropping the angels and demons and dragons when we attack with Kaalia. So that's one way of doing it from my point of view. Path to Exile just gives us a little bit of targeted removal we may need. Elixir of Immortality lets us cycle our graveyard back into our library at any stage where we need to, especially if we've had to discard a whole load of stuff or we've used a lot of removal up. Damn has appeared. I quite like Damn. 2 black mana to destroy a creature, it can't be regenerated, or do the Wrath of God side of it as double white and 2 to make sure everything gets destroyed and can't be regenerated. I don't think it's seeing enough play in real life, and I don't think it's seeing that much play on MTGO either, so yeah. If you haven't got one, go and find one, get it in. Obviously, we've got red in this deck and we need mana, so Dockside Extortionist is here to give us those treasures. Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots are also here to help us make sure Kaalia can attack the turn she comes into play and hit something really useful, hopefully, that we've got in our hand. Chaos Warp gives us a little bit of removal, just to return something and put it back in someone's library and hopefully they don't hit anything good off the top. Now, don't forget, we can do this to our stuff as well. So it could be a case of you really want to save one of the creatures you've got in play, so you can, when they go to kill it, you can use the Chaos Warp to put it back in your library. Bear in mind, then you might hit something good off the top. So, just whichever way you want to look at it. Fever's here just to make sure all our creatures have haste, even if for the when we do start casting things, when we ramp up. Jeskai Will gives us mana and cards, one or the other, or hopefully both, because we won't cast this until we've got Kaalia in play, I would hope. Mortify gives us a nice way of dealing with creatures or enchantments. I've just clicked on it in case, because this is the promo version, in case you don't recognise it. Vile Smash is here. Okay, not a demon, dragon, or angel, but yeah, casting our first spell each turn and getting some random damage in seems like a good plan. Crackling Doom, it gives us a nice way of dealing with lots of small things, and then each opponent sacrifices a creature with greatest power amongst creatures they control. So yeah, gets rid of the big things as well. The other version of Kaalia that came out in M20 is also included in the deck. Not sure it's as good as it can be, but if you stack them in the right order, so you put this on the stack and then put the other Kaalia's ability on the stack, you might be able to find a card if you haven't got one ready for when this resolves, so bear that in mind. Skyclave I mentioned. Damnation gives us more removal. Big Score gives us card draw and ramp, along with Pirate's Pillage, does the same thing, just one's instant, one's sorcery. Not quite sure why they aren't all instants, but anyway. Atuski, the Blazing Sky, is one of the dragons we can put in play with Kaalia, and when it dies, it gives us treasure. Chain Reaction controls the board. Zariel, Archduke of Avarice, means all our creatures get +1 and haste until the end of turn. And if we can get up to the -6, at the end of the first combat phase on your turn, untap target creature you control. After this phase, there's an additional attack phase. Yeah, okay then. But the +1's probably the more important thing. Cardur comes in just to make sure that if we do come into play, until your next turn, creatures your opponents control attack each combat if able and attack a player other than you if able. It's a nice one to hit off Kaalia. Mogus is just a nice way of making sure we keep a little bit of board control going at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep. That deals 2 damage unless they sack a creature. Ironis, again, like Mogus, is not a god. They're gods, so they're not demons or angels or whichever one I've missed out now. Dragons, but they're worth playing, especially Ironis, because it gives them more menace and it prevents all damage that would be dealt to creatures attacking creatures you control. So makes Kaalia a little bit harder to remove. Dihana, Binder of Wills, is probably one of the best upgrades I've put in my real life deck. +2 for up to 1 target legendary creature, it gains Vigilance, Lifelink, and Indestructible until your next turn. Okay then, I'll have a... yeah, good, thanks, yep, okay. Yeah, so bear that in mind. -3 is pretty good as well, but any number of legendary cards from among them into your hand and rest into your graveyard. Create a treasure token for each card put in your graveyard this way. That's pretty good as well. And if we can get to -11 ever, yeah, it's a game-winning end effect. But yeah, the +2 is the main thing to keep Kaalia alive and indestructible. AO, the Dawn Sky, is just another way of pumping our creatures or getting some things from our library into play that we may need. Boonbringer Valkyrie, back up, puts a +1/+1 counter on something. Yeah, you can chuck it on Kaalia. Flying, First Strike, and Lifelink, so that's pretty cool. June, the Midnight Sky, is just a nice way of getting each opponent to discard 2 and lose 2 when it dies, or we get a non-dragon creature from our graveyard onto the battlefield under our control, and we lose 2 life. Both ones very good in this deck. Cezanne, Perverter of Truth. We want to be drawing cards, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because, you know, demons, yes, angels give us life, but demons and dragons tend to take life away, and this is one that definitely does that. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player loses 2 life and draws 2 cards. Now, you are giving cards to your opponents, I'm not going to argue that, but drawing the extra 2 cards and losing a couple of life in Commander, a bit risky, but it can work. And it also is a point of fact that, you know, it means that some of your opponents may die to the trigger. So it's worth playing. Obviously, Terror of the Peaks is in, a bit like yesterday's deck with Mael. I just like Terror of the Peaks in a red deck. If I can justify it, I can justify it in here for getting the creatures into play for free. Because, you know, it says whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it doesn't say cast. Ravios Soul Tender is just a nice way of pumping our creatures and returning things from our graveyard if things get killed off. Next angel comes along is Liaisa, the Forgotten Archangel. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, return it to your hand at the beginning of next end step. And if a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. Okay, so I'll go back to our hand, everything else gets exiled. Yeah, okay, cover that. And the other version of Lisel is the Shroud of Dusk. Flying, lifelink, whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 2 life. Obviously, we don't cast many spells once this is in play. However, we do have to cast the odd one, and given the life link gives us 5 life and we lose 2, we should end up ahead. Boltwind Marauder just pumps a creature when other things come into play, and Colgan the Storm's Fury means our dragons get bigger when they attack. It's just a nice hit off Kaalia, and it's got dash if we need to have dash, so yeah. And the Hero's Resolve from Aftermath gives all our creatures +1, +0 and haste. At the beginning of your end step, exile a number of non-token artifacts or creatures you control, return them to the battlefield at the beginning next upkeep. That does protect our team quite nicely, so bear that in mind. It does set up a delay trigger, so even if this gets removed, as I understand it, they come back because that delay trigger's there. So I think that's how it works. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments down below. Demon Lord Belzenok is also here. Again, another risky card in this deck because of getting the creatures into play, but it's another way, cards into hand because of the life we lose when they're 4 or more. Hopefully we'll repeat it and get some of the legends we need to put into play with Kaalia this way. Kukushko, the Evening Star, will probably negate any life loss that we've had to deal with, because when it dies we drain everyone in play for 5 and gain that, so it's usually a 15-point swing in your favour. Ancient Copper Dragon is just another way of giving us treasures if we need them. Inferno of the Star Mounts is a haste threat that we can cast ourselves if we can't get it in with Kaalia. Oros the Avenger just deals 3 damage to each non-white creature when we pay the 3 mana when it gets in, so it's a nice little mini board wipe, maybe? Don't know. Ancient Gold Dragon gives us fairies, or fairy dragons I should say, which, interestingly, just so you know, get pumped by these, so yeah, that works. Archfiend of Sorrows makes all our creatures our opponents control small for a little while. Blood Money controls the board, blows up all the creatures and gives us a treasure for each one that dies. Breach the Multiverse. Okay, I'm not even going to go through it. It should be fun. Dragon Mage is just another way of recycling our hand if we need to. Orca the Siege Demon is one we want to try and put into play and cast normally instead of getting into play off Kaalia, because people will put blockers in front of this as soon as they see it. I want to try and keep it around as long as we can to build up the +1/+1 counters, so when it does die we can kill a lot of things off. Bladewind the Risen just gives us a way of bringing back a dragon that's already been killed off from our graveyard to the battlefield. And Runus Ultimatum, we're in the right colours, let's have some big board wipe that we've got in. And 7 mana with this deck, with the ramp we have and Skyclave, etc. Not too difficult to get to. Avacyn gives everything indestructible, and then the last 2 cards, Blasphemous Act, because why wouldn't you if you're playing this red deck, and Rise of the Dark Realms. Again, we should be able to get up to 9 mana and just get everyone's creatures back, which is especially fantastic if you've got the Resolve in play. But that's it. That's my take on Kaalia. That's what my current deck looks like, with the exception of the Mana Crypt down here, where I'm playing 38 lands in my deck. So I hope you've enjoyed the video today. Leave me a comment, let me know how else you do it. I'm especially interested, I mean, I've got a lot of old school creatures in here, I'm aware of that, and there's some newer ones, but I'm especially interested in what other angels, demons and dragons you'd be looking at playing in real life. And if I like the look of them, I might even upgrade the deck on here for when I'm playing it on stream. I'll probably be playing this on Thursday night, so come and check out the stream. The details are down below for where I am on Twitch. And yeah, hopefully you'll leave me a comment, leave me a like. If you haven't subscribed, just subscribe, and you'll see me in the next video. So thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.